Good Wednesday evening. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Holcomb from the 11 Alive Weather Impact Team. We've made it through the first half of the week, and it has been a glorious work week where we have been talking about these temperatures below average. We've had the low relative humidity around. These are just really bonus days for the end of August to have below average temperatures and to have low humidity and to not have the daily scattered showers moving through. It's going to start changing a little bit, but our temperatures will remain below the average. It's going to be the moisture content in the air that's going to start changing a little bit more as we go through the end of the week and the weekend. So the humidity levels are going to start rising just a little bit more. And then with that, we're going to see our rain chances that are going to be coming back too. Now, here's one thing I'm going to be talking about throughout this extended forecast here on 11 Alive Plus and on Weather Impact 24/7. The models are not in total agreement as far as what to expect here for the weekend. One model is showing hardly any rain at all. The other model is showing a lot of rain moving in. And as of right now, based on everything that I've been seeing and the trends here, is that I'm going with the drier scenario rather than the wetter scenario. And we'll break all this down for you coming up in just a little bit. But notice here tonight, we have been seeing just a few more clouds moving in. This isn't like a complete thick overcast of clouds. These are just some clouds just kind of streaming by tonight. And we're going to have more of those coming in, though, during the overnight hours. And with the additional clouds, that is going to hold in just a little bit of warmth from the day today, meaning our temperatures tomorrow morning are still going to be cooler than average, but it's not going to be as cool tomorrow morning as it was out there this morning. You know, this morning in Atlanta, we got down to 60 degrees. That's the first time in about 10 years we've had temperatures this cool in the month of August. If we had gone down to 59 degrees this morning, that would have been the first time since 2004 that we've had temperatures in the 50s, but we didn't make it into the 50s out there this morning. But it was cooler than average. We're going to stay cooler than average over the next few days, not only in the mornings, but also in the afternoon. The thing that's going to change, though, is going to be the humidity level starting to rise. And with that, that's why we're seeing a few more of the clouds around. Here's a look at some of those clouds, a few more of them over on the west side, coming in on the west side of the perimeter, moving into Atlanta. Again, they're not rain producers. They're not really thick. It's not a complete overcast. But notice there are more clouds, though, out to the west. Some of these in Alabama, up into Tennessee, back into Mississippi. Those are just going to keep streaming our way, and so we will have a few more of those clouds tomorrow. And as I mentioned, that's going to hold in just a little bit of the heat of the day, and that's why we're not going to be as chilly here tomorrow morning as we were out there this morning, if you call 60 degrees chilly. But hey, for August, yeah, that is a little bit on the cool side out there. And here you can see a little bit of rain back into parts of Arkansas. That's not necessarily going to make it into our direction. A lot of that is going to dry out before it moves on into our area. In fact, let me show you what we're watching right now on our tower cams. This is our view from our tower cam there in DeKalb County on Arizona Avenue, looking westward toward the city. And of course, we have a beautiful city here. Our skyline is just the best. And we had some nice colors in the sky tonight as the sun was going down. You know, sunset now is around 8:10. It's getting earlier and earlier. 8:09 maybe, I believe, is what it is now. But you can see just a few of those clouds. And those clouds gave us some nice color when the sun was going down just a little while ago. Here is another view. This is our tower cam at Truist Park. Hardly any lights on at Truist right now. We've got the red lights there on the top. But still, a couple of clouds around, nothing really major moving in. And in Rome, you can see there's the moon right there. As you can see that there as we're looking over toward the west. And a few clouds in Rome as well, but no rain in the area. We had a pretty sky there a little while ago with the sun going down too. So really just a kind of a calm night. It's a very comfortable night. It's still on the cool side, not necessarily that muggy out there with those humidity levels still on the drier side. Today we topped off at 82 degrees. The average high for this time of year is 88. So we were about 6 degrees below the average. This was the good part this morning where we started off at 60 degrees. We should be around 70 degrees for this time of year. So the morning temperature was 10 degrees below the average. If we had gone down a little bit more, by just a few more degrees, if we had gone down to 57, that would have tied the record, and that is a long-standing record set on this date in 1879. So we were 3 degrees away from that long-standing record when we hit 60 this morning. No rain in our area. We now have a rain deficit about 9/100ths of an inch below where we should be in rainfall, and we don't see anything major as far as rain is concerned coming in over the next 48 hours. Now here's that low of 60, and then through the day it was really comfortable. Temperatures were slow to warm. Even at lunchtime, we were still in the 70s. Now, since I work a night shift, I usually come in after lunch to work, and I work till after 11:30 once the newscast is over. So I ran some errands this morning. My wife and I sat out in the backyard for a bit. I washed the car this morning. It was just so comfortable out there, so nice with those temperatures slow to warm during the day. We did bump up, as we mentioned, that high was 82. That was between these hourlies right here, 4 and 5 o'clock when it was showing 81. We did bump up to 82 in between those. And then we were at 80 at 6 and 7, and now we're in the 70s, and those temperatures will continue to drop during the overnight hours. And here in Atlanta, we're one of the milder spots. We're at 75. Marietta's at 73. Outside the city, though, we mainly have some 60s around. We still have 70 in Thomaston, and up in Gainesville it's 70, but everybody else is generally there in the 60s with those cool, nice, comfortable temperatures around. And during the day here on Thursday, we start off at 63. We will have a few more clouds around. So again, about 3 degrees higher than we were today when that high was at 60. We'll be at 74 at 11, 78 at 1, and then up to around 84 in the afternoon. So that's going to be a couple of degrees warmer than it was today. But we're also going to see a few more clouds that'll be mixing in with the sun during the day. But still, we don't expect any rain out of those clouds here in our area. Here's the forecast track. You can see a couple of those clouds that are out there now, a few more of those streaming in during the overnight hours. And so tomorrow morning, it's going to be a little different than this morning, not only temperature-wise, again, just 3 degrees higher than it was today, but also this morning where we had mainly sunshine when the sun was coming up. Tomorrow, that sun's going to be mixing in with a few more of those clouds around, but still those clouds won't be giving us any rain. Once we get into the lunchtime hour, better coverage of clouds around. Now you see this model trying to pick up a little bit of green blips here and there I really don't think we'll see any rain around. This model is just trying to show a less than 5% chance that you might get hit by a little shower tomorrow. But what I want you to see here is we have this moisture that's building out to the south and west. We have a stalled out system to the south that is going to start lifting back up toward the north. And as it does that, it's going to start spreading a little more moisture our way. First, we'll be noticing that in the form of a few more clouds around. Then the humidity levels are going to start to rise a little bit, and then we may even see some showers developing. As of right now, as I mentioned, I'm going with the drier scenario of what some of the models are showing here. But we do introduce a low rain chance coming in here once we get into Friday. So you saw that bit of moisture down to the south. This model showing it staying to the south on Friday morning. But then see the southerly flow here. Once we get past lunchtime in the afternoon on Friday, again, just a little bit of this moisture trying to come back up into our area. That's why we're going with just a 20% chance for an isolated shower. And then into Saturday, again, in the morning, most of that moisture in the form of rain is to the south of us. And this model is keeping it to the south of us, but other models are showing it surging up to the north. So on Saturday, we are increasing the rain chance to about 30%. So when you're looking at this, please know that these models are really inconclusive right now. This is just based on what we're seeing and based on the trends of what we're seeing. That's why I'm going with the lower rain chance here for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. But if things start changing tomorrow in those models and we notice those trends and a little more consistency with that, we might have to start increasing those rain chances a little bit more. Now, I know that makes it a little hard for you to make plans when the meteorologist is not totally in agreement with what the models are showing here. But again, I'm going with a drier scenario. We'll wait and see, and hopefully those models will kind of come together and stick with that drier scenario. Speaking of dry, this is the moisture map. The purple and blue colors that you see here, that indicates the really dry air that we have in place right now, reflective of that lower relative humidity. But what I want you to see here, remember to the south of us, that's where we're going to see some of that moisture trying to build and move up toward the north. Now tomorrow, you see how these colors start lightening up a little bit and the blues and purples are more up to the north? That's going to be some of that moisture trying to move back up to the north. And again, it's mainly going to be felt in the form of a little more humidity building in. Now, still not the oppressive, muggy, crazy humidity that we often have. It's still going to be just a little humid, but not crazy oppressive humidity around. And so that's going to be on Friday, and we're just going to go with a 20% chance for a little isolated shower here. But you see all that moisture here to the south and also over to the west of us? That is a lot of humidity, and that is where the rain chances are going to be higher. So this is what we have to watch to see whether or not that's going to be able to lift up to the north. On Saturday, we are going with a 30% chance for a shower. Then on Sunday and Monday, just a 20% chance for a shower, as we're just seeing that humidity level coming up just a little bit more, but nothing, with a lot of rain with it. And then going into Tuesday, hopefully some drier air will move in into Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. So here's a look at what we're watching with the dew points. This is the actual measure of how much moisture is in the atmosphere. Still, we've been dealing with those dew points in the 50s, which is that comfortable air, all right? But notice here, as we see that moisture from the south trying to build back up to the north, that's when these dew points start going back up, and it just starts feeling a little more humid when you see these dew points getting into those 60s and even mid 60s here for Saturday, Sunday, and then drying out a little bit more into your Monday and into Tuesday. So here's how that corresponds with the potential for some rain. We will be rain free here on Thursday. Then on Friday, a 20% chance for a shower, 30% chance on Saturday, 20% chance on Sunday, as well as on Monday. So again, we'll be fine-tuning that if we see new model data coming in that shows that moisture trying to make it more up to the north of us. But in the meantime, still cool in the mornings, below average. Average low for this time of year, 70 to 71 degrees. So we're going to be below average through the period. But again, in the morning, not as cool as it was this morning. Instead of 60, it'll be 63. Then on Friday, it'll be 64. Then 66 on Saturday and Sunday, 65 for a low on Monday. And the afternoon high temperatures will also stay below the average, but they're going to be a little milder tomorrow up to 84, then 82 Friday, 80 Saturday, 81 Sunday, and 80 here on Monday, where the average high for this time of year should be around 88 degrees. So yeah, that is really nice. Here is the GFS model. This is the one that I'm leaning toward. I normally lean more toward the European model. But the European model is just going overboard with the rain chances right now. And that's really the outlier of showing all the rain. The GFS and the other models that we look at, the NAM and some of the others, are staying lower with the rain chances here into the weekend. So that's why I'm kind of leaning more toward that drier scenario. But you can see here the GFS showing that moisture to the south building, trying to move up to the north here. On Saturday, the GFS keeps it away. I think that we might have a couple of showers here on Saturday. And then on Sunday, again, most of the green staying down to the south, 20% chance for a shower. Maybe on Monday, a couple of showers could pop up. And then going into next week, hopefully some of that drier air will continue to filter on in here. So be patient with us over the next few days as we fine tune this forecast a little bit more. I know that you want us to know 100% what we think is going to happen, but this is just one of those scenarios where we're getting some conflicting information here from the model. So we're just looking for that consistency to come in here. 84 for a high on Thursday, partly cloudy skies. And then there you see Friday, that 20% chance for an isolated shower. Temperatures near 82. 80 for a high on Saturday, and that's why we're going with a 30% chance for a shower as some of that moisture tries to build in from the south. Sunday, 20% chance for a shower. Same thing on Monday, highs in the lower 80s. 82 Tuesday, 83 here on Wednesday, with mainly dry conditions we're thinking here for your Tuesday as well as on Wednesday. So as you look at this, number one, the rain chances on the low end. Yes, it does include the weekend, but we still don't think it's going to be a washout. Any showers that could happen would be very isolated and not widespread. The other thing I want you to notice, these temperatures each and every day of this 7-day outlook, the morning lows are below average and the afternoon highs are also below the average. You see that? Lows in the 60s, highs in the lower 80s. That just doesn't happen a lot at the end of August. especially when there's not a tropical system going on too. And on that note, the tropics are very quiet as we are leading up to the statistical peak of hurricane season on September 10th. We're not seeing much brewing out there right now, even in some of our extended models. So thanks for joining us for this extended weather update here on 11 Alive Plus and Weather Impact 24/7. We'll have another update for you coming up tonight at 11 on 11 Alive News, as well as more updates throughout the day here tomorrow from the 11 Alive Weather Impact team.